number 14 Cromer Houses in the heart of St Pancras, where I grew up. This was and still is a poor area of London. No bathroom, of course. We had a tin tub which used to hang on the scullery door. We lived on the 3rd floor, and my mother was always sending me out on various errands.
Of course, by the time I got down the stairs, I'd always forgotten what the errand was. So I used to call up to my mother, "Mum, what's the A for the vinegar, a pen of ham, 2 pound of potatoes?" And she used to look out the window and say, "Be quiet. Did I want the neighbours knowing my business? Come upstairs and I'll tell you." She was furious, but I had no such inhibitions. Don't worry me. I used to shoot round. The shops were originally over the road, but now there's only one shop of that kind that still remains, and that's round the back of this building.
I'm out with me barrow on the streets all day, hawking me greens about. Nice cauliflowers, you can't beat ours. You will hear me shout, "I'm here, girls, nice French beans, curly little greens, and your spuds all nice and brown. And if you boil them half an hour, they're like a bowl of flour, and me rhubarb is the best in all the town."
My mother used to use this shop regularly. She'd always be full of stories about people that she met while she was shopping. She said to me once, "That Lily Skinner, you know what she's like? With a face like a bum with a couple of currants stuck in for eyes. She was in there. She said, 'Oh, I'm not paying penny 8 for artichokes. Oh, no. Jerusalem or no Jerusalem. You know what you can do? You can stick 'em.' And he said, 'I'd be delighted to oblige you, missus, but I've a tuppenny cucumber up there already.' Oh, and he sort of limped away. He laughed and then he died.
It is so hard, it touches around, just a tumbled out track that keeps calling me back. Long as millionaire fortune, it's calling me back. I'd give up a palace if I were a king. It's more than a palace, it's my everything. There's a lady waiting there with a silver ear in a shanty in old Candida.
It's extraordinary how everything seems to shrivel when you come back, because in my memory this was really a very huge yard, and of course the floors were much higher to me then. We were on the 3rd. I remember I had some pots on the windowsill, and I used to sow my seeds and desperately hope something would grow there, and nothing ever did. And one night I was sleepwalking. Must have been the frustration, I suppose, building up, and I went and I shot all the pots off the windowsill. The flower pot very narrowly missed Florrie Plume, who was an old friend of my mother's, and she shot round to the Boot, which was their local pub here, and told them, "Your boy's out there on the windowsill throwing flower pots down in his pyjamas." I could have been concussed if I hadn't been wearing 2 felt hats on my head.
Push over the boy. All right. Just sit.
My parents spent many happy hours here at the Boot with their friends Alf and Edie Palmer. The Palmers lived on the other side of Cromer Street in Lucas Place, and they used to trundle their piano across for an evening in the pub.
A song that was a great favourite of my father's was always sung by Gus Elan, who was one of the great Edwardian comics. And it was a song which was absolutely chauvinistic, thoroughly masculine, I mean, totally on the side of the bloke and anti-feminine. And the verse ran like this. "I've lost my pal, he's the best in all the town, and don't you think him dead because he ain't. But since he's wed, oh, he's had to knuckle down, it's enough to wax the temper of a saint. He's a brewer's drayman with a leg of mutton fist, and as strong as a bull of corn horse. But in her hands, he's like a little kid. I wish as I could get him a divorce. Well, it's a great big shame, and if she belonged to me, yes, joining, I'd let her know who's who. Oh, nagging at a fella what is 6'3", and her only 4'2". Well, they hadn't been married not a month nor more
when underneath the thumb goes Jim. Oh, isn't it a pity that the likes of her should put upon the likes of him? That was a very popular song. My father adored Gussie. But when my parents came into the boot, they always met cronies in here, Ralph Palmer and Edie Palmer, and some of them needed to be persuaded into a song. Not Edie Palmer. Edie Palmer always did, was very outgoing. She always loved numbers. Numbers like I'm a lady policeman. She was very fond of that. Yes, always did that number. She used to sing, I'm a lady policeman. I'm ever so ladylike. Oh, I'm ever so ladylike. Ta-ra-ra. When I draw me truncheon, nobody gets a strike. Oh, I'm ever so ladylike. Ta-ra-ra. And then she did all kinds of very suggestive things with a truncheon thing. Always putting the oar in.
That's it.
Every time a conversation got underway, it'd be, I went there on Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
people say, all right, Tuesday.
Yeah,
and then I said to her, no, it wasn't her. It was her you saw the Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know. And they would go on again like that. Mind you, the way pubs have changed is quite fantastic because in the old days, I mean, pubs had masses of that kind of thing. I remember people coming to pubs. I remember Ted Smith. And he used to stand at bars saying, and I told him, I said, you're not getting nothing out of me, mate. You're getting nothing. And the friends were all saying, nothing. Got nothing out of you. And I'll tell you something. You tell them. I'll tell them. You tell them. And they echoed everything. And they quite like that. And that's been used in comedy a lot, of course.
This is my introduction to education, the entrance to Manchester Street School. You can still see it written up over that gate. Girls and infants. I was one of the infants. Then when I graduated, if you can just still see it, I became one of the boys. As a scholar, my results were lamentable. I got appalling marks in practically every subject, except English, and that was because I liked the English master. He took us for reading poetry aloud, Shakespeare, Tennyson, Browning, and he directed us in the school play. We rehearsed it up here, on the roof. It was called The Rose and the Ring, and he gave me a very good part, Princess Angelica, and I stomped around the stage with my feather duster saying, out of my way to everybody, very aristocratically, I thought. Mind you, I had no real idea how aristocrats did behave. It was entirely instinctive. But I did rather well, and I got very good notice in the local paper, which pleased me. In fact, it was my first taste of performing. I really enjoyed it. Kenneth Williams, with his mincing step and comical demeanour as Princess Angelica, was a firm favourite with the audience, to whom his snobbishness and pert vivacity made great appeal. First time a critic's got it right. Rough games were never to my taste. My best friend and I spent the breaks playing what we called OG, our game, up the alley behind the school. It was a game of make-believe in which I handed out the parts and my friend used to play along. Now, he's an inspector in the CID, far from the world of fantasy. It's strange how these houses have changed. They were originally built for family occupation, and then they were let out in the 30s as rooms, and then they reverted to owner occupation.
My gran had a room. It was the first floor back, and I used to visit her here. And she was always telling me marvellous stories about her cronies and her neighbours. She told me once that Mrs. Alf banged on the wall because she's bedridden, asked me to go in and help her. And I went in, she's laying there, terrible smell there was. And she says, would you help me, Mrs. Williams? I've done me business laying here. Would you get me a pair of bloomers from the drapers? There's some money on the mantelshelf. All she had on the mantelshelf was 1.11, but I put the rest to it. And I come back with these nice interlock bloomers, and she's still laying there, this terrible smell. And I said, you want to get out of the bed, I said, and wash yourself, I said, Mrs. Alf, the dirty cow. And she gets up very grand. She said, oh, it's all right. She said, don't worry. Sit down, and I'll play the piano to you. And she played Moonlight and Roses. There's no moonlight, of course, and smell. Oh, nothing like roses, I can tell you.
My gran only knew one song. My gran used to sing, she pulled away all the dashing spray over the waters blue. Help, help, she could hear the cry of the shipwrecked crew. But Grace had an English heart, and the raging storm she braved. She pulled away all the dashing spray, and the crew she saved. We saw that Grace Darling, you see. Grace Darling, lovely song, Silioka. Go on, lovely. I had another gin and port. Gin and port, she said. Not port and lemon, she had gin in the port. And whatever was left, she'd take it, you know. Cheers! She'd take everyone else's drink.
When my gran died, the funeral cortege slowed in respect as it passed her house, but it came to a halt outside the pub where she'd been such a good customer. The landlord came out with his tribute, The Gates of Heaven Ajar. That infuriated my Aunt Alice, who'd already bought an identical wreath. Only the family should give the Gates of Heaven ajar, she kept saying. The whole day was a riot of confusion. One of the mourners actually managed to drop her handbag in the grave.
Now, this was once a very elegant hairdresser shop, and my father went from being an assistant here to actually running it. So after Cromer Street, we came and lived over the premises, and I went up in the world.
Well, yours is one of the few shops remaining, you know, barber shops remaining, that is like the shop my father had in Marchmont Street, Peter.
Oh, yes.
You know, nowadays they've all got so shishy, haven't they? Have you noticed all these pink lights and posh mirrors and everything all over the place? It's ridiculous. I mean, this is the sort of thing you want, isn't it? Where you come and have a straightforward haircut.
That's right.
My father had no time for anything fancy, you know. I mean, a man I remember once came into the shop. Oh, I'd like a blow wave. And he said, blow? You'll get no blow waves from me. I'm not doing no blow waves. What are you, blooming iron? Iron off? Iron? I'm not having no irons in my shop. Get out. Have a straightforward haircut or nothing. And women, you know, he was tactless. I mean, I was always staggered that he made any success at all as a barber, because I remember a woman say, I'd like a henna dye. And he said, henna? On your face, a henna? You look like a tart. You want to look like a tart? Oh, no, I don't. Well, then don't have it. He laid the law down all the time. My mother used to take the cash in the gents, you know. She said, sometimes I'm the shampoo girl. But most of the time she would take money in the gents. Yes. And one of the customers, he said to me, I was there, he said, you know, she's got that little television so that we could watch the racing. So I said to her, you know, that's too small. You want to get the new Echo model. Lovely, it's 17-inch console. He said, and your mother turned around, she said, oh, 17 inches, you console anyone. He said, we all laughed. You don't expect to hear that. He said, do you, from a venerable, grey-haired old lady? I said, no. And I said, she's not typical, my mother. Because he used to specialise, my old man, in Marcel waving. Do you remember that, Peter?
Yes, the iron waving, yes. Oh, dear.
Sad to see the empty basin over which my father actually deloused some of the heads with paraffin.
Yes, it was all a bit grotty now, but in the old days, that was a very elegant window. He always had a nice face block with a wig on it, and very beautifully Marcel waved. Very elegant. That was the grating. We used to get the coal in down there. And one night during the war, my father was down there getting the coal in when two servicemen above relieved themselves through the grating. And he rushed into my mother and he said, "Here, I've been peed on. When I was getting the coal, I was peed on. I bet it was serving. I bet it was Americans. I put my shirt on it." She said, "Well, if you're peed on, Sally, you better take your shirt off. I'll wash it for you." She was quite incorrigible.
And when I grew too old for shorts, I was dispatched to school in Camden, taking me further afield than the streets of my earlier years, and on a voyage of discovery not only of other places, but other experiences of art, literature, and music.
About the age of 11, I suppose it must have been, I came to this school, the Lyle Stanley Central School. I seem to remember I spent most of the time rather aimlessly staring out the window. But the one thing I did enjoy were the German lessons. It was odd that we were given German as a second language, but that was one we were taught. And I remember also we were made to sing German songs. And a whole group of us were sent as part of a great London choir to County Hall, where we sang the Beethoven, Die Himmel rühmen, die ewige Ehre, and another song called the Lorelei. We were all dressed up in lederhosen, and we all had to make our own costumes, little shorts and braces and funny hats with a feather in them. And we had to stand there. Of course, I enjoyed it. It was all part of performing. I think it was that period that sowed the seeds of a lasting love for the German Romantic movement, both in music and literature. Hey, Fred, that's a very...
I've got like some win. I've got a bike.
Have you got a bike?
Yeah.
That costs a lot of money. How much does that cost, do you know?
110.
110? And you got a bike? When I was young, we only had skates, and they were ordinary skates, not the plastic ones you see today. They were metal wheels with ball bearings.
Yeah, because...
And I used to go to school all up Osselton Street by holding on the back of horse-drawn carts, and then my roller skates took me along the street, you see, and we weren't really allowed to do it, and people used to say, "Don't hold on the back of carts, because if they all stop suddenly, and you go forward like that, you see, you bash all your mouth on the back of the cart, you see." But we never took any notice. We always used to go on the roller skates all the way to school.
When I left school, my father said, "You've got to have a trade, boy. The one thing they'll always want is maps. I mean, people have got to find their way around, haven't they?" So I became an apprentice litho draftsman at Edward Stanford Limited, map makers in Longacre. And every morning I cycled proudly to work through the streets of Bloomsbury, past the statue of Francis, Duke of Bedford, and those incredible houses in the area that housed so many famous artists, people like Virginia Woolf, Maynard Keynes, Lytton Strachey, Edward Knobloch. In fact, people almost as eccentric as myself.
It was in this street, Montague Street, that my old chum, Johnny Vere, lived. And it was him, Johnny, to whom I owe the concept of indignance in comedy. He always played it with tremendous hauteur. He was the bishop in Hancock's Half Hour, and when he married Tony to Hattie Jakes, he stood at the altar, and he always closed his eyes in the middle of his speech. He said, "Those whom God hath joined together, let no man put asunder." And then when he opened his eyes, they'd both left the church. They'd gone. And he looked right into camera, and he said, "Yes, charming." Believe it or not, this used to be Collins Music Hall on Islington Green. I used to come up here first house Saturday night with my chum, see some marvellous acts. I always remember Hal Blue used to come on.
Oh, I know. I used the cafe next door, right next door to the theatre, you know. The electric cafe. Oh, man, they call it the electric cafe because food's just shocking, you know. And then a lady would come on, who affected deafness, with a mouth organ, and he'd say, oh, we've got a musical interlude, have we? And she'd say, yes, in the mood. I'll play for you, in the mood, and did it very badly. And he said, there's Scandal. She said, yes, Handel. Oh, I love Handel. Oh, Handel. You like him? Oh, yes, he's right up my alley. And he said, yes, it's where your mouth organ should be. And there was this sort of outrageously rude comedy. And then the climax was a man saying, and now, the lady who will defy the Lord Chamberlain's ruling that a naked woman shall not move. She will be naked, but moving at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, Peach's Pet. And then this woman, who was called Peach's Pet, was pushed on, quite naked, sitting on a bicycle. And they shoved her, and she wobbled across, you see, and somebody holding their arms out to grab the bicycle and pull it in. And of course she did defy the Lord Chamberlain's ban because, though naked, she did in fact move. Up there you can see the remnants of what was the dress circle, and over there was the stage.
I'm in love with the fairest Ignora, and she's such a dear little soul. She thinks that I'm an Italian too, and that's why she loves me top hole. Her father, he liketh me not, of him I am daily in fear. So I wait until midnight when he is in bed, then I warble this song to my dear. Oh Signora, are you coming out tonight? Signora, Signora, I'm here in the pale moonlight.
If your father Spaghetti won't give his consent, and he says that you can't marry me, I'll start a vendetta and stick my stiletto right in the place where he'll never forget her. Signora, my love, oh, I'm waiting patiently. Slip on your camisola, jump in my gondola, and bunky-do-lido with me.
In 1944, I got my call-up papers, and I had to come here to the drill hall in Duke Street, the Artists' Rifles, actually, and be medically examined for army service. I went in with considerable fear and trepidation, I can tell you.
I was paraded in all my embarrassing nakedness before these army medical officers, and they all made sort of terrible noises of disbelief. Oh, good dear, oh, for heaven's sake, oh, good gracious. One actually said, for heaven's sake, man, pull the stomach round to the front. And I had my back to him at the time. Eventually they just sent me off in disbelief to Harley Street, where a specialist who looked like Bela Lugosi and took about a pint of blood off me said that I'd be B2 grading because of pernicious anemia. And so I went and did 6 weeks primary training at Carlisle Castle, after which one MO simply said to me, yes, well, you finished the course, didn't you? You're fine, A1.
Eventually, a crowded troopship took me to the Far East, and it was there in 1945 that I became involved in troop entertainments with comedian Stanley Baxter, director John Schlesinger, and playwright Peter Nichols, all of whom influenced me enormously. Returning to Civvy Street in 1948, I tried to settle down, but somehow it wasn't the same.
Still find it fascinating just looking at maps. I came back here to the drawing office after I was demobbed, and I think I genuinely tried to have a go at being a draftsman all over again. But everything had changed because, I mean, I'd done flatbed litho, working on stone, in reverse, and everything now had become rotary. And then Stanley Baxter said to me, I don't know why you're bothering going back to the drawing office at all. Why don't you go on with your acting? You obviously enjoy acting, all those impersonations you were doing in Singapore. I used to do impersonations out there. I was doing Churchill. We shall fight all the beaches, all the landing ground, the end in the air. We shall never surrender. Wonderful stuff, marvelous stuff.
And so, you know, take it up, obviously enjoy it, do it. A career is not taking out an insurance policy where you have security for life, you know. It'll be ups and downs, but if you enjoy doing it, do it. So I did.
In fact, he was a very good draftsman. It's a pity he didn't carry on. He had a good job, a good steady job.
Oh, do stop shouting, please. You there! Is that remark addressed to me?
Stand to attention when I'm talking.
Why?
Why? Don't ask why. Do as you're told. You're in the army, son.
Oh, not quite. I'm still a civilian, with civilian rights. Now, don't shout, please.
What is your name? Please.
Daly, James Daly. How do you do?
Fine. Absolutely bloody fine. But I'll feel even better once you're in uniform.
Thank you, Sergeant.
All right, carry on, Corporal.
Oh, I mean, it's just like any other job after a while. Just gets as boring and as routine as any other work. Learning lines, having a retentive memory and all the rest of it. It seems absurd now that I should arrive down these stairs and call up to my mother and say, what was it you sent me on the errand for, because I forgot. It seems extraordinary now, because, I mean, the very thing I have got now is a retentive memory. That's the very thing I've got. It's funny to imagine that someone as fluent, articulate, elegant as myself was once such an idiot child. It's very weird. You can't imagine it, can you?
If you're not so much rich, you're famous, well known by a lot of people. That's right.
No, but all the money values are distorted, because if you do a film and it takes, what, approximately 6 months to do, and your fee for that film, let's say, is £3,000, to say to the ordinary man in the street, I'm getting £3,000 for that film, sounds really rather marvellous. But when you spread that money out over the time you are wanted, which might be 3 days over 3 months, you realise that that payment, coming at the end of 6 months as a total of £3,000, is not great money at all.
Who are you?
Me? I'm the mechanic. I was still working on the tower when you took off. Oh, honestly, frightened the life out of me. I wasn't expecting it. I was just sitting there singing happily to myself, and then next minute, whoosh, I was up here.
Sit still. I can't control the plane with you jumping about.
Well, I'm only trying to get comfortable. All these knobs and levers here sticking in me. Here, what's this one?
Don't touch it!
Oh, it's the ejector seat. Come back, where are you?
It was in this theatre, the Lyric Hammersmith, that I did my first review, which later transferred to the West End, and then years later I came back to direct my first play, which also transferred, and that means that this auditorium has a lot of affectionate memories for me. And the wheel turned full cycle when the schoolmaster who'd directed The Rose and the Ring all those years ago came backstage to visit me here, and we talked about what decides you on a career. I said then that I thought talent was something you were born with, but that style and the form would change with all the influences that came into your life, all the people you've ever liked. And the way that Shelley puts it, we are a portion of everything we've ever loved. And I think it is those loves that form the tissue, if you like, of belief and faith. Because acting is all about faith. Performing is making an act of faith, believing that you can create reciprocity between the auditorium and the stage. And that's why when the atheist says, what if life's pointless, what if it's all a joke, has to be answered by the comedian, well, if it is a joke, let's make it a good one.
Good evening. Who are all these people that doth trespass on my domain? The hedgehogs call me Jungle Jim. Now, don't be rotten. Ooh, that's a good idea.
Get your clothes off.
It's all the same. Animals haven't got anything we haven't got. Now, stop messing about.
I know what side my bread's buttered, ducky.
Oh, Sylvia.
Down to these parts, eh?
I've got a lousy agent.